In the theater of politics, few command the stage like Donald Trump. His career has been built on controlling the narrative, shaping perception to suit his ambitions. For years it worked, supporters believed, critics fumed, and Trump's version of reality often dominated the headlines. But lately, the script has slipped. His attempts to bend reality have backfired, turning intended triumphs into public punchlines. The image of an infallible leader is cracking, replaced by a man increasingly out of sync with the world outside his echo chamber. And as always, the public is quick to turn a stumble into a spectacle. February 2025, a dinner for Republican governors. Trump boasts of approval ratings at 71% and 69%. The problem? No such numbers existed outside his imagination. Every major poll, Gallup, CNN, Reuters, put his approval in the mid-40s, with disapproval above 50%. The gap between Trump's claims and reality was impossible to ignore. It was as if he'd declared victory in a race everyone saw him lose. The numbers weren't just off, they were pure fiction, a deliberate attempt to rewrite the story. But in the digital age, fantasy is exposed fast. The myth of overwhelming popularity didn't last the night. The internet pounced on Trump's imaginary poll numbers before dessert was served. Within minutes, timelines and group chats across the country lit up with disbelief, amusement, and a sense of collective incredulity. It wasn't just political junkies or late-night comedians who noticed. Everyone from high schoolers to grandparents found themselves drawn into the spectacle, sharing screenshots and snarky comments as fast as their thumbs could type. #Trump 71% trended, not as praise, but as a punchline. The hashtag became a digital rallying cry, uniting people from all walks of life in a moment of shared satire. It was less about politics and more about the absurdity of the claim itself, a number so outlandish it seemed ripped from a parody rather than a presidential statement. Memes exploded, Trump polling at 71% among his own reflections or cardboard cutouts. Social feeds overflowed with doctored images, clever GIFs, and viral videos poking fun at the idea. Some joked that even his shadow would have voted against him, while others imagined a world where only mirrors and mannequins could deliver such numbers. Late-night hosts and critics called it delusional, statistically impossible, and desperate. Monologues were rewritten on the fly, with comedians gleefully dissecting the claim and audiences roaring with laughter. The story became instant fodder for satire, with punchlines practically writing themselves. The spectacle shifted from his supposed popularity to his detachment from reality. What began as a boast quickly morphed into a cautionary tale about the dangers of believing your own hype. People who might have once cheered were now left scratching their heads, wondering how far the narrative could stretch before it snapped. Commentators warned this wasn't spin, but a total break from the truth. News anchors and analysts debated the implications, questioning what it meant for a leader to so brazenly ignore reality. The conversation shifted from comedy to concern, as experts pointed out the risks of normalizing such blatant misinformation. The public mockery was relentless, exposing deep insecurity rather than strength. For every joke, there was an undercurrent of worry. If the truth could be bent this far, what else might be distorted? The laughter, though loud, carried a note of unease. The story became a symbol of his administration's fraught relationship with facts. Protesters and pundits alike seized on the moment, holding it up as evidence of a deeper problem, a willingness to substitute wishful thinking for hard reality, no matter the consequences. Even loyalists couldn't drown out the laughter. Some tried to defend the claim, but their voices were quickly lost in the tidal wave of jokes and disbelief. The moment became a rare point of unity, as people across the spectrum found common ground in their reaction. The emperor's new poll was revealed for what it was: make-believe. In the end, the episode served as a reminder. In the age of social media, no claim is too bold to escape scrutiny, and no leader is immune from the collective wit and wisdom of the crowd. September 2025, Trump headlines a rally for free speech, only to be drowned out by protesters. The event, meant to showcase unity and strength, devolved into chaos as demonstrators chanted, "Hate speech is not free speech." The disruption was live, loud, and impossible to ignore. Trump, rattled, tried to regain control, but the damage was done. The rally's message was hijacked by dissent, turning a celebration into a debate. The line between free speech and hate speech was suddenly front and center. Instead of a triumphant moment, Trump faced a messy public reckoning. The chaos at the rally became instant internet gold. Clips of Trump being shouted down went viral, the irony too rich to resist. Headlines focused on the protest, not his speech. Critics reveled in the spectacle, calling out the hypocrisy. The event, meant to control the narrative, sparked a real debate about the limits of free expression. Hate speech is not free speech became a national talking point. The rally's failure highlighted the unpredictability of public discourse. Instead of silencing critics, Trump amplified them. The story was no longer about his message, but about the protest that stole the show. In the sweltering heat of summer 2025, Texas found itself at the center of a political storm. Former President Trump, still a dominant force in Republican politics, joined forces with Governor Greg Abbott and a cadre of loyal allies. Their mission? To pressure the Texas legislature into redrawing the state's congressional districts, a move designed to cement GOP dominance for years to come. The stakes were enormous, and the eyes of the nation turned to Texas, watching as the state's political future hung in the balance. The official justification for this bold maneuver was to address lingering concerns from the Department of Justice about potential discrimination in the state's voting maps. Yet, in a twist of irony, the Biden administration had already dropped its lawsuit against Texas, leaving many to question the true motives behind the sudden push for redistricting. Critics argued that the explanation was little more than political theater, a smokescreen to distract from the real agenda at play. Beneath the surface, the real motive was unmistakable: securing a partisan advantage. Republican strategists saw an opportunity to redraw the lines in their favor, ensuring that more districts would be safely Republican, even as the state's population continued to grow and diversify. The plan was simple in theory, but controversial in practice: pack as many Democratic voters as possible into a handful of districts, effectively diluting their influence elsewhere. This would make the remaining districts far more secure for Republican candidates, potentially locking in their majority for the next decade. But Texas is not the same state it was even a few years ago. Demographic shifts are happening at a rapid pace, with growing Latino, Black, and Asian communities reshaping the political landscape. Legal experts warned that such aggressive gerrymandering could trigger a wave of lawsuits, especially under the Voting Rights Act, and spark outrage among voters who felt their voices were being silenced. Even within Republican ranks there was unease. Some party leaders cautioned that the move could backfire spectacularly, not only by inviting costly legal battles but also by energizing Democratic voters and activists. The risk of alienating moderate and independent Texans was real, and the potential for a political backlash loomed large. In a state as dynamic and unpredictable as Texas, the strategy was nothing short of a high-stakes gamble. The political winds were shifting, and no one could say for certain how the gamble would play out in the years ahead. For Trump and his allies, this was about more than just voting rights or fair representation. It was a calculated power play, a last-ditch effort to hold on to control in a state that was changing faster than anyone could have predicted. The biggest surprise? Texas Republicans themselves balked at Trump's redistricting push. Many feared the plan would make their own seats less safe, not more. To shore up some districts, others would be left vulnerable, especially in purple suburbs. The backlash was public and private, with strategists warning of long-term risks. The move was seen as desperate, likely to alienate moderates and invite court intervention. In the end, the plan stalled, Trump's top-down demand clashing with local realities. The episode exposed a rift between Trump's ambitions and his party's survival instincts. Once again, a scheme to rig the game fizzled, leaving Trump looking out of touch. Across these episodes, fake polls, chaotic rallies, failed power grabs, a pattern emerges. The political landscape has become a stage where the unexpected is the norm. From the grandiose promises made at rallies to the spontaneous protests that erupt in response, every moment is charged with unpredictability. The spectacle of politics today is not just about the leaders, but also about the people who react, resist, and reshape the narrative in real time. Trump's attempts to control the narrative keep colliding with reality, often to comic effect. His speeches, intended to galvanize support, sometimes end up as fodder for late-night comedians. The more he tries to steer the conversation, the more it veers off course, driven by the reactions of a public that is both skeptical and engaged. The media, too, plays a crucial role, amplifying the absurdities and highlighting the contradictions. Each backfire sparks real debate about truth, free speech, and the mechanics of power. These discussions are not confined to the halls of power but spill out onto the streets, into cafes, and across social media platforms. People from all walks of life engage in these conversations, questioning the narratives they are fed and seeking out the truth for themselves. The democratization of information has made it possible for anyone to contribute to the political discourse. The irony? In trying to script every moment, Trump has unleashed more unscripted conversations than any policy ever could. His attempts to dominate the news cycle have instead created a space for diverse voices to be heard. The public, armed with smartphones and a healthy dose of skepticism, captures and shares these moments, adding layers of interpretation and meaning. The result is a political environment that is more dynamic and unpredictable than ever before. The public, armed with smartphones and skepticism, is now the wild card in politics. They document, share, and critique in real time, making it impossible for any single narrative to dominate for long. This new reality has shifted the balance of power, making it clear that the audience is not just watching the show, they are part of it. Every tweet, video, and post adds to the collective understanding of what is happening, making the political process more transparent and participatory. In the end, the punchline belongs to reality, and it's delivered with perfect timing. The unscripted moments, the genuine reactions, and the spontaneous debates are what make politics so compelling. They remind us that despite the best efforts to control the narrative, reality has a way of asserting itself. And often, it does so with a sense of humor that no scriptwriter could ever match. In politics, the best laid plans can unravel in an instant, and the world is always watching, ready to laugh. The unpredictability of the political stage keeps everyone on their toes, reminding us that in the end, it is the collective response of the people that shapes the course of history. The laughter, the debates, and the shared moments of realization are what make the political journey so fascinating and unpredictable.